Hello everyone. Okay, so this is our very first video in this series. There's going to be a lot of different things that are going to go on. Most of it is probably going to be trial and error to start, but we're going to figure it out as we go. I mean, I'm sure that I'm going to go, oh, the quality of this video isn't great, or the volume isn't great, or whatever. But I will be tweaking these as I keep doing them. We're going to do what I call a workflow. So I'm just, from time to time, I'm just going to record what I'm doing, and then we're just going to explain my work process. So it's like a workflow. Later on, I'll probably get into doing more traditional kind of things like what I would have done in an actual classroom, but for now we're just going to start with this. Another important thing, I'm going to ask, can you please subscribe to the channel? Now, you see this a lot in other videos, but the reason why is to subscribe is going to help. Once you get 100 subscribers, you can unlock certain things like a custom name for the channel, which is the very first goal I want to go to. But anyways, so let's get started. We're going to do this in Photoshop. So the first thing we want to do is make a new file. So you can go Command N or File New. This is going to be 1200 by 1200 pixels, as we want this for Instagram. Instagram is best with a square format. And I'm going to make this 300 pixels per inch because I want the highest resolution possible for my working document. We'll change that later to be 72 for web when we export it, but that's later on. When you have the right size, you click OK. So now we have our square. Over here, I have this other document, and it has a bunch of letters. It's an alphabet made out of tools. I took this a long time ago from my stepfather's old tool collection to create this font. Anyways, so I have all these photos, and I want to be able to use each one. So at the top, you can see I have Auto Select Layer checked, and I'm using the Direct Selection tool. So I can click anywhere on the canvas, and it will auto-select the layer. So if I click the letter, you'll see that the layer is highlighted. I'm going to right click on the layer, and then I'm going to select Duplicate Layer. This opens a dialog box. In the dialog box, you can select the document drop down and pick the desired destination. So for this, we want it in the untitled document, and press OK. So we want to do this for each letter. It looks like nothing's happened, but if you go over to the other document, you'll see that the new layout has all the layers there. If I click and drag, I can move each letter around. This is because I have the direct selection tool set to auto select layer. I'm going to go back to the tools, and I'm going to do the same for the next word. Now that all the letters are there, we're going to go down to the bottom of the layers and select the background layer. This way, it ensures that what I'm going to do next is going to happen just above the background layer, but not in front of the letters, okay? So if I go to the top, I can go File, Place Embedded. I'm going to browse my resources for a texture that will work. You'll probably start to collect your own kind of resources of different textures and all kinds of things that you can always use. I really advise it. It's a good idea. So I'm picking this concrete background that's going to work really well with the design. For some reason, I didn't get this part, but I put all the letters into a group. So the way you can do that is you can select all the layers, and then at the bottom of the layers panel, there's a little folder, and you can click that, and it'll put it all in a group. Or you can click and drag layers into the folder. This way that they're all together, and I know that it's easier for me to manage. Alright, so I'm going to select the group in the layers panel. And if I press Control T or Command T on a Mac, I enter Transform. And you can see there's a bounding box around everything that's inside the group. If you hover your cursor over the corner, it changes to be a rotate icon. By clicking and dragging, I can rotate it. If I move my cursor inside the bounding box, I can move the entire selection as well. So next, I'm going to make some guides. So if I click and drag from the rulers, I can pull out a guide. If you don't see rulers, you can press Control R or Command R and they're going to come up. I'm creating a margin for myself just a few pixels in. This way I can ensure none of my design with the important information goes outside of that. Next, I select the rectangular marquee tool. By holding Shift and dragging from the top left corner, I can create a perfect square. You'll notice that it'll snap to the guide. I can drag a guideline down and it'll snap to the selection. This will ensure that it's the exact same distance. Since I still have the rectangular marquee tool selected, I can click and drag the selection to the bottom right corner. It'll kind of snap into place. Then I can pull out my last two guides, so that now I have an area that I know that I want to keep all of the important information inside of. I'm going to select the group and I'm going to drag that down into position. If I press Command T or Control T on Windows, I can enter transform. I'm going to position the first letter to the left of the guideline. If I go to the corner and drag the selection, I can make sure that it fits to the right side as well. Okay, I'm going to open the group and select the first letter layer. Press Z and click it to zoom in. You want to zoom way in. If you press and hold the space bar and click and drag, you can move the canvas around to where you're going to work. Press P for the pen tool. Then I'm going to outline the selection. Okay, let's talk about the pen tool in Photoshop. If you click the canvas, it adds a point. If you click it again, it adds another point with a line connecting them. You can keep clicking and making points, but as you get closer to the first one, if you hover over the very first one you clicked, a little O symbol happens on the cursor, and that means you're going to close the path. With the pen tool, you can also click and hold Shift. It'll go in straight lines or at 45-degree angles. If you click and drag, you can make curves. You can edit the curves by holding Control or Command and moving the handles. If you hold Alt and click on a point, you can move individual handles, perfecting arcs. You can also do this before you click your next point, if you want to escape the curve you created from affecting the next part. If you right-click in a path, you have more options. If you select Stroke Path, it'll stroke the path with a thick to thin of whatever the current brush you had, as well as like the size of the brush. If you don't have Simulate Pressure clicked, then it will outline it evenly all around. You can adjust the thickness by using the square bracket keys of your brush. Make sure to press P again to get the options to stroke the path. You can fill a path with a color. You can also make a selection. Once you have a selection, you can go down to the Layers panel and select Mask. That's the little icon with the rectangle with a circle in it. This is what I'm doing with the letters in the main document. When you click a mask, you'll start to see two thumbnails for the layer. Select the first one and you can fill that with a color. The mask keeps everything inside the shape. Select the thumbnail to the right, which is the mask one, which is black and white. And if you use your brush tool with the white color selected, you can add to the mask. Alternatively, black will subtract from the mask. So the mask is what I'm doing with the tool letters. The reason I want to do this is because I want to work non-destructively. If I use the eraser tool and I mess it up, it's gone and I have to redo it all again. We need to add depth. So with the layer selected, at the top I'm going to select Layer, Layer Style, Drop Shadow. A window is going to pop up and you're going to be able to adjust the tools here to make the drop shadow look more believable. So just play with it until it feels right. kind of like how it was in the original photo. Alright, on to the next letter. Okay, so there's a problem. So the counter inside the A, that's the space there, it's not masked. So all I need to do is create a new path with the pen tool and make a selection, and then I can fill that with black. See? It's gone. If I click on the layer style for the L, I can press Alt and click and drag that style to duplicate it onto the next layer. Now they both have the drop shadow. So now I'm just going to finish all the letters. One thing I noticed is the drop shadow is too far, so I'm going to double click on the drop shadow and I'm going to adjust that so that it's going to be a little bit closer, it's going to be more fine-tuned. Once I've done that, I can right click the layer style and select copy layer style. Then I'm going to select the top layer and I'm going to hold shift and click the bottom layer. These are all the layers with the letters. This ensures that they're all active. If I right click, I can say paste layer style. This will apply the effect to all the layers selected and saves time. Next, I'm just going to move the letters closer, adjusting the tracking, as we call it. Alright, now it's too small. So I'm just going to go Command T or Control T on the layer group, and I'm going to adjust the scale again. I'm going to make a new layer above all the others. So you can press Command or Control J to make a new layer. I'm going to fill it with black. So if I press D on my keyboard, it makes the foreground color black and the background color white. If I press Alt backspace, it's going to fill the layer with the foreground color. If I press Control or Command backspace, it's going to be the background color. But we want the foreground one. I'm going to make a mask on it. I'm going to select the gradient tool, and I have it set to black to transparent and radial. I'm going to click the center of the canvas, and I'm going to drag out to the corner to create a vignette effect. I'm going to click on the concrete texture layer because I want to add text above that. So I can click the text tool, or you can press T on the keyboard, and I'm going to type the word happy. I'm going to use the transform tools, and I'm going to have it match the angle of the other letters. I'm going to highlight the word, and then in the drop down, I'm going to select a font that I feel is going to work with this design. So now I'm going to press I on the eyedropper, and I'm going to select a color from the design. I'm going to put this in a new layer. I'm going to fill it. So again, that was Alt backspace. Then I'm going to add a layer mask to it. I'm going to fill this mask with black so that it's completely gone. If I press X on my keyboard, it's going to swap the foreground and background colors. So this way, now I have white selected. I'm going to use the gradient. I'm going to create a small light spot. I'm going to slide the layer opacity down to make it very subtle. Then I'm going to use the direct selection tool. I'm going to move the highlight over to where we want it to go. Now I'm going to add a logo. So what I'm going to do is go File, Place Embedded. I'm going to find my logo and I'm going to select it. I'm going to scale it down and I'm going to put it in the bottom corner. With the logo, I'm going to change the color. So I'm going to go a layer style. I'm going to do a color overlay and I'm going to change it to white. I'm going to move it above the vignette. So I'm just going to drag that layer up. Here I'm just going to add a few more textures to the background. So I'm just importing, I'm scaling them, and I'm changing the blend modes of these layers and the opacity just to give it a little bit more uniqueness. I want to distress the happy, so I'm going to use a texture to help me. First I'm going to create a layer mask on the text layer. Then I'm going to find a texture that I'm kind of looking for. I'm going to place it in. I'm going to drag it above everything, because I don't want anything else to affect what I'm going to do next. I'm going to go Image Adjustment Threshold, because what I'm looking for is really black and white, and I'm going to go Image Adjustment Levels. So I'm just playing with these settings to try and get it so it's really, really just black and white as much as possible and very gritty. Then I'm going to go Select color range, and I'm going to use the eyedropper, and I'm going to select the black. So I'm going to make sure that I have the mask thumbnail of the text selected, and I'm going to fill that with black. And it's just going to fill in whatever was supposed to be black, just kind of gritty. If I still have a marquee selected, I can also move this selection around, because I can go select, reselect, and then move it around. And then I can also just keep filling with black. This way, I'm just going to keep doing this until I'm kind of happy with how much distress I want into this word. We're just going to repeat that until we're happy with happy. Finally, I'm just going to make some minor movements like adjusting this U. And then we're just going to go File, Export, Save for Web Legacy. And it's going to have a pop-up window come up. I'm going to choose JPEG because Instagram doesn't take PNG files. Here you can like fine-tune the compression if you want, but I'm just going to leave it as high as possible. And we're going to save this out. Now, with this, no matter what, it's going to change it to 72 pixels per inch, which is what we want for the web anyways. And that's it. Thanks for watching, and hope you come back again.